At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
And welcome to the Author Your Brand Show. I'm your host, Doug Crow, with another great story and, more importantly, some great wisdom for how to make your presentations really pop and get the effectiveness you really deserve. We're going to introduce our guest today. His name is Sylvain Haché. Put it together. We just call him Sly in America because it's easy to say that with our English accent. And we're going to talk about speaking, but not just speaking or memorizing a talk, but being effective with your communication. We're going to talk very specifically about why, for example, your next fundraising, how you can actually get that money instead of blowing it like you have in the past. So we'll get to that in a minute. First, introduce our guest, Sly. Sly, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Doug. Great to be here.
You bet. So we're going to talk about effective presentations, but I want to get to a little bit about background from you first. How did you get into this industry, and tell us a little about your background?
Well, I know people don't like long, boring stories. Long story short, I'm an ex-chronic stutterer. I created a new speaking system that allows people to speak without stress, memorization, or just stressing their face off, or having scripts. I've coached international keynote speakers and TV hosts and national trainers, and I help people create six-figure days from the stage. Now, we can double-click on any one of those things, but I know people look at, get past the story. But I can go for days.
I'm more interested in the stuttering story. I watched the King's speech a couple years ago, and I found it fascinating.
That movie, man! Okay, I wrote an article about this thing in my newsletter. I was like, okay, you guys don't understand. I watched that movie. At one point, the stuttering coach watches the king deliver a speech, and he's proud of his student. He's really proud of the work he's done, and then the king turns around and kind of gives him a wink or a yes, like, thank you for this stuff. Man, I don't cry. I can't remember the last time I cried. I'm not a crier, okay? Man, I started weeping like a little... See, because the thing, I was in the... as you watch a movie, you get associated with the characters. But I was at the same time the stutterer that overcame it and the coach. This was so meta for me.
So you related to both characters then, huh?
At the same time. So, in the emotional pull and push of the story at that moment with the music, I was the room. I was the ambiance. I was both characters. I was freaking out. Because, man, stuttering, by the way, I might write something about this, the eulogy of stuttering. The great thing about stutterers is that they're highly creative people. So you got employees, people, you want to hire somebody to be creative. Stutterers always have 5 ways of saying the same thing in their minds. Because, if the S jams on every word, you always got like 5 tracks going on. Now, don't hire a stutterer to answer the phone. That's cruel. But, like brainstorming, always good. Now, there's a thing. So anyway, I was chronic stutterer for like decades. And then part-time stutterer. And then only once in a while. And then only if somebody intimidated me. And then only if I was tired. And only if certain circumstances. And then, screw this, I'm done with that.
Nice.
So this is the stuttering thing. So I know how painful it feels to not be able to get up on stage and speak, because stuttering is basically stage fright on steroids.
Yeah, right.
Because like a regular person is terrified of getting on stage. 75%, 70%. Let's not get hung up on stats here. Most people, whatever it is. Just terrified. And it's as if they're mentally stuttering. So a stutterer inside his mind is shouting at himself, "What's wrong with you, idiot? Just get it out!" Inside your mind, you're not stuttering, but but there's nothing wrong with the voice box. It's an inside job. The state, the emotions, the perceptions, the feel, the sense of self, the dented sense of self. It's crazy. It's an undent. You remember the old fenders back in the day when cars had metal fenders? Right. You get into a fender bender, they go from the inside and they undent the damn thing, right? So it's like an undenting from the inside of your sense of self, pretty much, to stop that type of nonsense. But anyway, a regular person that doesn't stutter, their voice box will make any sound that the mind commands it to do. It's just that the mind is stuttering.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah.
They can't string a sentence together. So we got intelligent, powerful, respectable, respected people. I'm backstage, for example. This one time was so bad. I'm backstage with the CEO. And I'm hired as a corporate entertainer. And I'm a musician and stuff. So I'm backstage with the CEO. And every time I'm with the CEO, and I've seen this, by the way, in multiple countries, multiple continents, 35 cities, if there's a constant in life, is that most speeches suck horribly. So I'm backstage with the CEO, and we're vibing, we're connecting, right? So one-on-one, mano to mano, eye to eye, you don't mess with these people.
No.
Don't bullshit me. They have radar, bullshit detectors. Like, you can't screw with these people, right? They say something and they watch you, they watch if you swallow, calibration mechanism, they check on your pupil dilation, they're scanning you, they're external focused, and they're radar-like. But then we're vibing because that's how we roll. Okay, then I watch them transform into a small person, walk into the stage to deliver a speech to their own organization. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being... I'm like, what's going on with these people?
Who are you?
Yeah, that's not the person I was speaking with just a minute ago. Anyway, this one time was so bad. I'm backstage with her, and I'm telling her how the best we can do sometimes is create some banter between the departments and, you know, shoot the shit and stuff, like just have fun, interact with the audience. And she's like, could you do my speech for me?
No.
I just got here. I don't know these people. See? So it's a thing where people that will do everything they can in life to get the power, take the power back, get the respect, get the status, get to a place where, and there's suffering and sacrifice involved, and then they'll go there on stage and blow it because they don't know how to structure stories.
And that's what I want to talk about, because a lot of our clients, a lot of our audience are people who are raising capital, they're doing M&A deals, or saying, hey, I want to grow my company, and they need to get out of that current comfort zone, wherever they are in their company, and go out and ask for money, like big time money. And like I mentioned earlier before we started the show, I was a judge on a pitch competition a couple of years ago, and out of the 30 people that we listened to, boy, I was bored to tears from most of them. And we know the formula for what really works and why this one element is so important, no matter how long or who you're speaking with. And that goes to your story. So I would love to hear your perspective on story itself, and then follow up some story selling tactics or strategies people can think about next time they go to craft a presentation, whether it's a presentation to one person or 1,000.
Let's call it story selling.
Yeah.
Let's call it subconscious rapport. Let's call it effortless influence. Let's call it subconscious story selling. People on the replay, listen to this. Say that with me. Subconscious story selling. This means you're telling a story that has the necessary elements baked in, the necessary perceptions, belief changes, and presuppositions baked in, so that as you're telling your story, the audience's mind, by the way, when you open your mouth on stage, whether you know it or not, you are a hypnotist. I trained professional hypnotists. I have hypnotists as clients. I hypnotize hypnotists. I speak to speakers. I coach coaches. I train trainers. When you open your mouth, for people to understand what you're talking about, they need to make internal representations.
That's right.
For example, I'll just start speaking French, see how much you understand. Je parle français, je suis en train d'expliquer, par exemple, que les présuppositions inconscientes de la foule, c'est ce qui compte le plus important. You don't know what I'm saying because you can't make any internal representations. So you open your mouth on stage. If you're structured any other way than hook, sandwich, call to action, you're hosed. They said hook, sandwich, call to action. Everybody knows what's a hook, right? It's the ear perk, it's the jaw drop, it's the, what did you just say? That's the hook. Got it. We know what a call to action is. Click, buy, swipe, download, stop polluting the ocean, whatever. The middle is a sandwich. One story back in the day used to be enough. 1925, from 2025, we had one story was okay. Because the audience used to be able to focus.
Yes.
Now your audience have 12 live conversations going on at once. They're thinking about their three of their favorite TV shows that have 6 stories and 7 timelines going on at once. They open their computer, they got 17 tabs open with 3 different layers of processing, and you think you're going to get up there and get $1 million or more by telling one story? Maybe in 1947, not in 2025. So the sandwich comes in to the rescue on a white horse. Okay? The cavalry comes in. Think of it in terms of directional focus. They are in a certain state, you want them in another state. The audience, in a buying state. You want them to do something. You need to, there's a sequence of emotional states or a sequence of states they need to be in order to go from this to that. You can't go cold turkey. Certain things you can't say in the beginning, certain you can't say at the end. These states need to be sequenced in a logical order. So you don't want to emotionally structure your logic. You want to logically structure your emotions, if that makes sense.
Love that, yes.
That's the cue. Okay, so there's cynicism, skepticism, maybe, oh my God, there's a sequence to this.
Yep.
Now you ask yourself, okay, you just can't walk him through like this. Okay, so what real stories, that's how you speak without scripts, by the way. What real stories have I lived, seen, or heard of that I can, not have to stress about memorizing? Create those shifts. Oh, well, there's one time at the cottage, there was just whatever was going on. This one time, oh, with my aunt, there was, there you go. So your notes say cottage, aunt. You know the cottage story. Moves people from that state to that state. And you know the cottage story moves people from that state to, so you map out the shifts that need to happen with notes that are stories you tell. So your notes are not bullet points. God forbid, scripts. But at least it's a story that you know that by telling that, it's there. Now, since you're listening to this, you're not an idiot. Okay, you're intelligent. You know what you're doing. But the thing is, if you have so many tabs open in your own mind and you're trying to memorize stuff and wondering, oh, is Bob impressed? Is he liking this? You got too many tabs open, your CPU gets overtaxed, and you can't connect, and you can't watch the ideas land, and you can't adjust in real time to create the effect you want. Information, I have a thing, I don't know if we can go on with this, but informational speaking is dead. If you guys know Hagen, H-E-Y-G-E-N, Hagen, informational speaking is dead. If the purpose of your talk is to deliver information like, hey, you're just reading from the slides. Okay. If it's just to deliver the thing, it's because Hagen already does that better than you. No ums, no ahs, perfect diction, any accent, any skin color, any background to match with the audience and the preferences, already done, baked in. What you want people to do is you want them to give you money. Basically it's make noise with face, get a check. That requires a transformation inside the mind of the audience. So that's called transformational speaking, and that's one of the only skills AI will never be able to do for you because it requires calibration. So as you're, So Doug, I had a guy in mind, okay? You know these guys we're talking about. Expert negotiators, one-on-one. Expert calibrators. You adjust your tone based on what they say. You adjust your pitch based on what they gave you in the beginning, what you know, your background information, and you adjust. Now their calibration mechanism is off when you put them in front of 300 or even 30 people, because now they can't calibrate. So the calibration mechanism needs to be set at the level of the sequencing of emotional states in a logical order to move people along a influence continuum. Now the stories you choose need to resonate with what you already want, otherwise you're host.
Yeah, right, of course. Yeah, they should be there for a reason, right? Yeah.
So now if you like, I could just give them the framework on how to choose those stories, like, if that's good, I don't know.
Yeah, that's great, yeah. Do you have that sequence laid out from cynicism, skepticism? What are the normal sequences for that?
It depends what you want them to do and where they are, but I got better than this. I got an algorithm on how to choose it. I created that algorithm. Back in the day, I used to have a marketing company, and we'd make all these messaging for all the authors, speakers, gurus. Like the biggest client we had was Deepak Chopra. When Deepak came to town, we got the contract for this. So that type of authors and stuff.
Gotcha.
But also the local chapter, chakra people and the crystal ball read. There's all these guys. And they all had the same message, and I had to come up with a thing that was like, how do you say your thing uniquely in a way that it fits with the audience?
Yeah. Right.
So here's the formula, very simple. You ask yourself, okay, what do you want them to do? Okay, so you want them to give you money or stop learning. Okay, if they do that, or you want them to buy your coaching call or your coaching program or your mastermind, if they do that, what's that going to do for them?
Right. Right.
At the end of the process, right, they're going to lose weight, whatever it is, get laid, get paid, whatever the thing is. There's a payoff at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so if you base your directional intent, if you base your storytelling angles on anything else other than the payoff that is tied with what they already want, it's a giant waste of time because they don't want it.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So what you want them to do, good, okay. If they do that, what's in it for them? Then people say, nothing. That's why you're having problems, buddy.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's why you can't have, it's called charismatic messaging. And charisma is about being connected to something greater than yourself. In this case, the payoff and the good intention that you want these people to have. Anyway, so they have this thing at the end. Okay, we call that greater than because it's greater than you, greater than me, greater than Doug, greater than everything. Okay, it's a thing. It's like a driver. Sex drive, status drive, spiritual drive, survival, whatever, a big drive. Okay, we got this thing. Okay, what does that impersonal thing want the audience to do? Oh snap! I know you never thought about that, so I'm asking you.
Yeah. It's a good one.
What it wants them to?
Repeat that in English for people.
Sorry?
Repeat that again and use a different word because I really think that's powerful. What does that result want from the audience? Is that what you
Yeah,
mean, right?
that overarching non-personal payoff.
Yeah.
That big thing, that big idea, that big driver. So sometimes it's like if I'm working with women coaches. Sometimes it's like self-respect.
Yeah.
Okay, what does self-respect want the audience to do? Okay, I'm working with guys. Okay, what does status want the audience to do? Let's stop being such a beep, right? So whatever it is. So it's not what I or what you want these people to do, because then you got pushback. Now, the system that I'm creating is like a consultant's collaborative close, a doctor close, a consultative, collaborative, side to side on the side, same on the table close. One too many, baby. Just how you do it. All right. So let's say it's going to give them status or whatever the thing is. If that thing this audience does not want, start again. You're hosed. Okay, let's say you got something they want. Okay, good. They want that already. So that's a good thing. So what you want them to do is align with their desire. Check. Okay. Now, what does that thing want them to do? Well, they want them to do, I don't know, insert thing here. Okay, this thing. Why won't they do that? Oh, God. Man, this is the money shot. Because now the objections you're overcoming are not the objection to them giving you money. It's the objection to them getting the payoff they want already, with or without you. This is how you get effortless subconscious rapport before you even open your mouth. Because when you're backstage, you're not wondering, go, let me see how I can squeeze those bastards out of money. No. You're aligned. You can't fake this. It comes across in the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you hold yourself, your body language.
Right.
It informs the story you. So now the stories you tell do their emotional switching to allow the audience to do what's necessary to get what they already want, which just so happens to be your investment vehicle. See it?
Oh, I totally get it. Right. It's you got to break it down a little slower for people to understand that it's not the why, it's the why behind the why. Right. There's something deeper in there that you plant those little seeds and those story arcs to get there slowly. Like I tell one of my friends the other day about sales, like, you know what, you ever try to pour coffee into a thermos with the lid still on it? Yeah, what happens? The coffee spills over, right?
Yeah.
You gotta unscrew the lid. Once it's unscrewed, then you can pour the coffee in.
Glorious.
So if you don't unscrew that lid with what you're talking about, no one's going to be paying attention, let alone engaging with you. So yeah, I love that concept of, yeah, you know, the simplest way to say it, oh yeah, answer objections before they come up, but you're taking it to a much deeper level by getting them to decide that they need it, not that you convince them they want to be coming to you.
Well said, Doug, and I can't make this up. Look at that, okay? I just can't make this up. This is one lid, but this thing here has two lids. There's one here and one there.
There we go.
So that's why we need two stories, okay? Minimum. Two is the minimum. Now, expert communicators, when you're in the room and you're thinking, look at that asshole on stage, that natural. I used to be a guitar teacher, and there was an ad, best ad I ever saw. It says, "Become that asshole," and then the ad was, look at this guy playing guitars, all the women flock to him at the party, getting all the attention. Don't hate the guy, become that asshole. Phone number, guitar lessons. So now, for speakers, you see this guy come up on stage. This guy's telling stories, like what's going on. People just want to give him money and just point to product, get money. Here's how to become that asshole. So again, I can't make this up. We're talking with Doug before the show. Thanks again for having me, by the way. I appreciate this. And then so what are we going? Because guys, we can take this from many different angles. We're just trying to create you some value, take some notes, get out there, kick butt, take names, and make some money. And I just so happen to have this drawn behind me. If you're watching, right. you can't see it if you're audio only. I have a thing that it's a sandwich drawn out. Mm-hmm. Expert communicators will have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 17 stories going on at once. If you're a hypnotist, this is called nested loops with embedded commands. So we have a thing here. Think of your hook. This is the beginning, okay? You have one thing here on your hook.
Yeah.
Then it moves on to the first story. Mm-hmm. In this case here, it's like the chocolate factory story. Because you know that your chocolate factory story, when you tell it, it resonates with the audience and it fits with whatever is going on, okay? So your note says whatever the hook is, here's how to save the turtles, okay? And then you move on to the chocolate factory story. So that's what your note says. Then the second one is the grandma cookie thing, whatever it is, right? But it needs to fit with what I described.
Yeah, there's some connection between them, right? There's a point to it? Or
yeah, but the cue is you don't finish the first one.
There you go.
You don't finish it, okay? You bring it to a point of drama or a transition point. You move on to the other one. You don't finish. You start it again. You set it up, right? Set up and close. You set it up. You don't finish it. Then you move on to the money shot. This is, for example, where you take out the coffee cup on stage and you try to put it and it pours all over. It's a demonstration. This is where you come out the prop. This is where you come out with the stat. This is where you come up with the grid, the stat, the participation with the audience, what the thing you got. The payoff. This is where you drop the load, the bomb. This is where you drop it. Sandwiched between two stories that are unfinished, which create open loop in the mind. That's why you're so hypnotized when you're watching movies, because they do this all the time. So you're speaking like a TV show.
For every commercial break. When we come back, why pigs do fly, you know?
And if you overdo it, they feel like hitting you, so you don't do it. So this is a fine line. But guess what?
Yeah.
That's kind of stuff that we help people do. Okay, so anyway, then you drop in the thing. Then to create, if you watch any great comedian, starts with a joke about his dog, whatever, yada, yada, and then he does that for an hour and a half, and then at the end he says, and that's why my dog, audience lose their mind.
Because that curiosity drive in humans, we cannot not answer a question, and that loop is going to stay there forever.
But then they forget it consciously.
Yeah, right. It's consciously forgotten by that time if it's a long one, but it always comes back, and that satisfaction feeling of, I said it, right?
How did he do that? You're thinking, well, here's how you become.
It's like, whoa, I felt good. I figured it out.
Now, here's how you become that asshole. So now, after the money shot, we call it, the demonstration, the thing, the stat, the whatever, you wrap up the second story that you started before.
Okay.
Loop it back to your point. People say, like, how do I land my ideas? Like this. Yeah. Then you wrap up the first one. Then you kind of get a feeling of a ramp up mechanism because people can feel it coming. Then we don't have time here, but we go into a thing called the charismatic call to action, and then you land it back to the call to action.
Yeah.
So the secret to this is your hook. The first thing out of your mouth needs to set up the last thing out of your mouth.
Yep.
Story 1 sets up the end, the payoff and the punch and the reason why and all that. And story 2, the same thing. So that way, when you drop your stat, you create had to be there moments. Oh man! And then you said this, but when it's sandwiched properly, it feels deeper. So in a nutshell, that's how you do it.
I love it. That is a great visualization and auditory version. Yeah, brilliant stuff, Sly. Tell us about your about you and how people can get a hold of you to hire you.
You go to. Can you imagine how good my stuff has to be with a cheesy name like that? nextlevelpublicspeaking.com. I mean, so the cheese is strong, okay? Next level, because it's truly next level. Like, this is just scratching the surface. But so it's nextlevelpublicspeaking.com, and we got there for all budgets, size, colors, and strengths.
That's wonderful. Nextlevelpublicspeaking.com. Check it out. I'd like to end with a story. So give us a 2-minute story of success that, there I was. I had this guy who had, marbles in his mouth, and he, became president of the company. Give me a success story from your...
If I take, if I don't take, because we create 6-figure days, so if I don't take, the money part, for the impact part...
Yeah, either way is fine.
Because the money's too easy. There's one particular lady, Dr. Margarita, 62 years old, never been on stage her whole life, terrified of public speaking. Buys our coaching programs, does the thing because she was in LA and she got booked to speak in New York at some sort of prestigious thing.
Wow. Yeah.
62 years old. She's not like she's used to this thing. Comes into the coaching thing. We map out her talk like this, coach her. First time on stage at 62 years old, gets a standing ovation.
That's wonderful.
First time. And then she says, she was not allowed, this was like a prestigious thing, so like for medical things, so not allowed to sell.
Right.
People were begging her, can we please give you money? Can we please somehow? But she was not allowed, so the organizer had to do like a separate room to the side so she could make some sales.
Yeah.
Flies back to, then a few weeks later, flies back to the West, I think it was in San Diego somewhere, did a 15-minute pitch in front of investors. Somebody funded her whole company in 15 minutes. Her second time on stage at 62 using this plus the secret sauce, this system.
Oh, wonderful. That's
2 times on stage.
Yeah. There you go, folks. If you need any more proof to give Sly a call, this is it, man. That's wonderful. So the show notes are below in case you missed the diagram. We've got examples down below here, below the video. So check it out. Next level. What was it again? Next level?
Publicspeaking.com.
Publicspeaking.com with Sly. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thanks.